Everybody, I hope you guys enjoy this episode of the DHR pod. I had on. Hey everybody, in this week's episode of the DHR pod, I had Avi Proctor on, an old friend who I've known for a long time being in Israel. I've seen him make Aliyah, come here, get married, start a family, move to Neve Shamir, and I wanted to talk to him about that process and his successful Instagram page, the Israel Gap Year Association, and why he chose Neve Shamir, how he got there, how's the reception been, and what it's like for people when they get there in general. All right.
I love how this is just how you start your role. I'm a big fan of the podcast, the DHR podcast.
Here we are back with Avi Proctor. This goes way back. Way back.
You guys don't even know.
You don't. Well, you might actually. All of it's been on camera.
Go back on Zach's Instagram and social media, scroll way back, and you'll see me there when I was post Yeshiva.
A lot of things. We had a few projects going on, a few basketball camps. Just one basketball camp. I basically gave Avi the confidence to go and start RTB.
Which means ready to ball basketball.
Yeah, which was actually a very good, high-functioning camp that had consistency and continuity. Those are the things that are crucial in basketball training and running a camp. So here we are in Ramat Beit Shemesh Hey. We've got the beautiful Yarmut.
Gorgeous.
That's the name of the park behind us. Buildings going along all the side over here. And Avi Proctor, with us right here, was in Shraga. Pretty much just stayed in Shraga. Then you were the madrich, like 1 year older than all these guys. He's the madrich. And then he just stayed and made Aliyah. And I think that's pretty unbelievable. Very young. And, tell me, what was that decision like? Because not a lot of your friends did that with you. And it's kind of funny because I know Avi a little bit at this point. And usually he's like a chevra man. He's doing things, where the chevra's going. If you ask him, why did you go to Shraga?
The boys.
That's where the boys were going. Staying in Israel is not where the boys were going. So tell me a little bit about that process for you.
Great question. First of all, for everybody that's watching me and you see my insane squint, I apologize in advance just because
it's generally an overcast
Shemesh is out of
day.
Beit Shemesh today.
There's a lot of, the clouds usually, all day the clouds have been here, and for this moment, the clouds are not.
I'm with you, but in terms of your question, like, it's and by the way, I love how we're having like a reminiscing session. It's just being recorded for anybody that wants to listen to this. But like, for me, my plan was always to come to Israel for Yeshiva, and then like I was enrolled in YU. It was going to go for 1 year, maybe go for 2, and then my year in Shana Aleph.
Well, wait, can you even just break that up? Because that's even so funny to me. Because you were not religious, right?
Yeah, I wasn't religious from about 7th grade all the way up to like 11th grade.
Oh, but you were religious before you went to Yeshiva.
Yeah, like I was starting to get frum again in like high school, like 11th grade, something like that.
By the way, that alone is one of the when people tell me like, oh, I started getting serious in high school, I don't even know what that means. Because for me, it was only Yeshiva. Like high school had, you know what I mean? There was nothing there for me.
Started Kimi Shabbos in like 11th grade, give or take. And then it was just like, okay, like I'm going to Israel to like, get into it. And then I went. Exactly. And then I went to Shraga. And then it was just like, okay, like I never envisioned myself ever. When like I came to Yeshiva, it wasn't like, oh, like I can see myself living here. It was just like, I'm gonna go to Israel, I'm gonna see where it takes me. And my year got cut short because of COVID. And I remember the first Shabbos I got back to America when literally we were all kicked out of Israel because of COVID. I was like sitting there. This was right after Purim, 3 days after Purim.
March.
Yeah, that year, exactly.
It's like a good 3 months. Those are usually the cooking months, It's
the craziest time. And I literally, it all happened so fast from like one day or like I'm in Israel, the next day I have a flight booked, I'm back in America. That Friday night, I'm sitting downstairs in my like basement. I'm davening Kabbalah Shabbos by myself. And I just started crying. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I knew I missed something and I knew I felt it. And that was probably like the first feeling I ever felt of like, wow, like I'm missing something here. Like sometimes you don't realize how much you're missing until you actually miss it. And then that was like a feeling that I had of like, okay, like, whoa, like I actually feel like connected to like Israel and being here and more just than Yeshiva. So
at the time, did you know that was Israel, or did you feel like maybe it was just Yeshiva?
It's a good question. I think it was a mixture of both. I definitely missed the boys. It was just like it happened, like I was having the best time ever. And then it's over.
In like a heartbeat.
And then you don't know when you're coming back or if you're coming back and how things are going to work. And people are talking about Israel. Are they going to open up for Shana Bet and this, that, whatever? And all I want to do was get back to Israel. And then finally during Shana Bet, when they let us back in, we had to quarantine for 14 days. Crazy experience. You know all these things, right?
That's exactly when I started there.
Literally. And then And then through that process, it was just like, as I started going in my Shana bed, it was like, hold on, like I actually like enjoy being here. And I'm one of the types of people that like, I'll find someone that like I look up to, and like I'll take them as a mentor and just like soak it up. So like I came to Ramat Beit Shemesh probably every other Shabbos. I stayed at a certain family in Aleph, and I based myself there.
You had him on the podcast before?
Did not have him on the podcast. No, you're Achmil Soltz. He's a family friend. He's not a rabbi.
Oh, I thought it was okay.
Who?
Rabbi Schneider.
Oh no, not Rabbi Schneider. But no, he was
also a big mentor for you in Shraga and everything.
Oh, I did have him on the podcast. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so that's why I thought you were talking about it.
Yeah.
You were just dancing around the name.
So Rabbi Schneider, obviously, he's Rebbe in Shraga. He's my Rebbe. And what I did is I realized something when I was in Yeshiva that all these rabbis are so busy. The only way you're actually going to get a meal from them is the only way you're going to get to spend Shabbos with them is once every 2 years. They'll probably invite you. They have a whole rotation, whatever. But I realized if I stay at someone else in the community and I invite myself over for just a meal, they're always going to say yes.
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah.
So I literally did that. And I would
go the system right there.
I would literally go hopping to this person, that person, and I just saw this community. I saw how everybody raised their kids, and I saw how like there's just so many different types of people that like are doing it here. Of people that literally sit and learn in the morning, work in the afternoon, full-time learning, this, that, whatever. And I was like, this is epic. And then I saw it, and for me, I've never been an education guy. That's a whole nother conversation, as I'm sure you know one. And I was just like, I don't want to go back to YU. And I remember I called my dad up, and at the time, as you asked me before about like being a chaver man, obviously, right? Like all my boys, everybody was like, probably 95% of them are going back to YU. That was a plan. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't want to do it, And like, I had to make a decision for myself of like, am I going to go back to YU and follow basically everybody else, or am I not? And I dafka told myself, I said, I'm going to make this decision for myself, and I'm not going to tell anybody until it's like finalized. So I really like, everyone was talking about what they're going to do, what they're going to, and I literally stayed quiet.
This is in the middle of Shana Bet.
Middle of Shana Bet. And I'm going to call my dad up one day, and I was like, I'm going to stay in Israel. I'm just going to figure it out. And I'm going to be Madrich. And I like to hustle. I've always had hustles, and I had things going on. And I was like, listen, I know what I don't want more so. And then I obviously know what I'm beginning to want, which is staying in Israel. And I was like, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm gonna figure it out. And I'm gonna trust the process, and obviously trust in Hashem. And obviously it's easier said than done, as I'm sure you know.
It's also easier looking back, a few years down the line, being like,
so easy,
stable, thank God, married, have a kid or two, so.
Yeah. It's so, and then from that point on, it was just, I made my decision to stay. I didn't tell anybody.
So now I'm curious though, because in terms of like a path or a direction, how much did for those of you who don't know, Avi Proctor is a very successful Instagram page called the American Israel Gap Year Program.
Israel Gap Year on Instagram. Just Israel Gap Year.
Just Israel Gap Year.
Yeah, I separated from that.
Oh, fine, whatever.
There we go.
So the Israel Gap Year, where he went around and he shows everybody all the different yeshivas that are here, and it already started gaining a lot of momentum by Shana Bet. How much did that give you the confidence? Do you know what I mean? How much did that plan? Like, I have this here. Like, there's also a project and kind of like a context for you.
Phenomenal question. I don't know if I thought about it so actively of like, oh, like I have this, like I'm gonna do this for my parnas in the future, because like, but I think I knew for myself of like, oh, like I'm getting better at like marketing and media and content, and like I think this could be a path for me. And honestly, like I'm more the fan of like learning on the job as I go versus like sitting in the classroom. So for me, I was like, okay, like I could run with this and see where it goes. And then I knew other opportunities like would present itself, and I've always had hustles in high school, personal training and basketball, this and that, whatever. And I my thing is like, I'll figure it out. As I always told my dad always says like my favorite line, I'll figure it out. When I don't know an answer to something, I'll figure it out, So for me, it was just like, I know what I want, I'm staying in Israel. Okay, what's next? I'm gonna figure it out, And like, I feel like that's with anything in life. You just gotta go with the flow, put in your effort, try your best, and then,
It's funny though, a lot of people though are much more in the system where there's a clear, something is being figured out also for you if you just play by the rules and.
Yeah, just for me, I knew for myself that I knew what I didn't want, which was like to take that conventional path of going to college and this and that, whatever. And honestly, I'll tell you one thing, is just like, the biggest thing that always crosses my mind every single day is that like, I mamish have one life to live, like YOLO. Like everyone says YOLO, you only have one life to, fine, whatever, everyone uses that statement in their own way, but like for me, I mamish know, I will only be 19 for 1 year. And that's it, it's not coming back. And I'll be 20 for 1 year, and I'll be 24, and so on and so forth. So it's like, let me make it as epic as I want it to be, because we don't know if I'm here tomorrow, you don't know if you're here tomorrow, right? So for me, it was just like, I'm going to manifest what I want in my life, and I'm not going to look at anybody else, because if I do, I'm not being genuine to myself. So for me, like that was like the driving force of like, I'm at a point in my life in Yeshiva, I'm doing what I got to do. That was. Was
there one moment that it hit you, or some experience where you're like, okay, for sure? You know what I mean? You were on the fence and then something put you over, or was it just a regular, gradual?
It's a cool question. I don't think there was a moment. If it comes back to me, I'll tell you. But it was more just a gradual process over time. And then I know that like.
You're gonna comment the video. Moment.
Got you. I know I'll cut you off. I love my dad. He's gonna see this one. Shout out to him. I get off the plane after Shana Bet, and this is when I already made my decision to stay in Israel. I get in the car.
Did you tell
my
him
dad,
yet?
You know, he knew. We were talking this out. And he picks me up from the airport, and he's like, welcome home, honey. And I look at him with a dead face. It's like straight face. I'm like, I'm not home. I'm not home. Because I felt it as soon as I got off the plane. I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, what am I doing here? And I was like, I'm not home. And he was like, whoa, you know, but like he got it, you know. And Abba, I love you so much when he sees this and hears this one. Like, it was a moment for me that like that was one of the moments that it was like after I made the decision, it like reinstated the decision also. And then more importantly, like once that summer after Shana Bet, when everyone was transitioning to YU, I knew at the end of August when everyone was moving into YU, I was going right back to Israel. That was the greatest feeling ever. The greatest feeling ever. It was just like I'm going back to where I want to be, you know. And it was epic, mamish epic.
That's pretty amazing. Especially because whatever. It was also, it's funny, not only is it you're moving countries, whatever, but you're also moving away from the decision-making process that you had up until then. You know what I mean? It was like also your first independent, like, no, I'm also veering off in a very extreme, drastic way. Not like you just went to Landers or something, which is not where your friends were going. Like, tiered, you know, difference of what you were headed to. So then you came here and you were the madrich and you kept up your, you know, the gap year and everything going on.
Did a lot of things. I was always hustling. I was doing a lot of stuff. I'm all about like trial and error, right? As you know, like we did projects. Shout out T2R, Time to Return. That's what we did together. And you also had like helped make content with Israel Gap with me. And like if you remember, like I was just talking about this with Yali, my wife, for those that don't know.
By the way, one of those videos is so funny still.
The what happens when you get off the plane from Shana Bet?
Yeah, like the summer or whatever. Like summer plan.
Setting your plan for Chavrusas and this and that was good.
Yeah.
You should plug that one in the bio for those that know. But I was just talking about this with Yali. Like when I was in my trip, like I spent like probably 4 hours a day in your apartment, just like hawking ideas, talking about this, working on this, and it was just like I was like figuring it out. Then I was working for like this nonprofit, doing recruiting for this and that, whatever. And then like all these experiences is like I wasn't getting paid a lot at all. And thank God I was at the stage of my life where I didn't need so much.
That's the beauty of it.
And I was like figuring out like what I want, yeah. And then during that year, like I literally I knew my wife before a little bit because we, you know, kind of just knew each other.
Oh, because of the American Gap Year Association.
From Israel Gap Year, exactly. We worked together, and I started dating 3 months into being madrich, and then I got married 8 months. Got engaged 7 months after Shana Bet, and then got married 10 months after.
Just so you guys know, Avi hand selected his wife from a trough of hundreds of options, maybe thousands.
I don't know if you want to phrase it like that, but
maybe tens of thousands. Hand selected. This is the one.
Shout out
she
her.
Was like, okay, and then you know that was it. So that was Shana Gimel. You were married in Shana Gimel.
I got married. I finished Shana Bet in June, and the following June I was married.
So yeah, the end of Shana Gimel. Where you were the madrich, whatever.
Exactly.
Okay, so then this is also a whole nother tier because it's one thing to move to Israel, it's another to bring a girl who is not already committed to living in Israel with you.
Well, I knew she wanted to. That's the first thing.
No, there has to be desire, but there's a difference between you guys dated here,
right?
Like, because she already made that decision all by herself, independently.
Right.
That wasn't the case.
Day long distance. I kept going back and forth. Like we figured it out every like month. We ended up seeing each other. I finessed a few tickets from working for this organization, that, whatever, and then it worked out in that way. And then it happens to be Hashkoch, Hashem runs the world. Yeshiva University did a pilot program for 6 months for Stern girls. And it happens to be the first 6 months of our Shana Bet. So we got to spend the first 6 months in Grus, which was literally, I remember I got there to Israel married. I took my belongings from the Shraga dorms and I moved it to my apartment with my wife. And that was literally literally like 4 months later. I was just same campus, whatever. So it was a good landing spot. And then we had to go back to America for 6 months, if you remember this time period. And it was just like I was like in denial that it was gonna happen. I was like, I'm not doing this. And what's interesting is like people always ask me actually about this like stage that we were in of we were going back for 6 months. My wife had to graduate Stern, Yali had to graduate Stern, and we had to live in the Heights.
A lot of people thought you were not gonna make it back.
People said that, people said all these things. And me and Yali discussed this, like we're gonna live as temporary as we possibly can. We had a 6 month rental in the Heights. Everything that we had was temporary. We had a foldable table. We spoke about
this a lot also before you went.
Plastic for everything. I refused to kosher our oven until very extreme. I was a little extreme, but listen, it's all good. But we were only in the Heights for 2 Shabbosim because we went back to Yali's family and stuff like that. I was just like, I want to be as out of that as possible because I didn't want to be in that world.
Well, so your family, I imagine you want to spend as much time with them before you're gonna, you know.
True. That everything and like I learned in YU for that time, and like I got to see that world of like that I passed up on, and that also reinstated like how much I wanted to follow the path that I was in. And I remember the first Shabbos we spent in the Heights. I walked to Key Food, which is in the Heights. If anybody knows that place, it's where everyone shops.
It's on Broadway.
Yeah, whatever the street name is. I remember walking back, and I'm like carrying all the bags, and I remember like literally 2 weeks before I'm in Israel, walking back from the Makola on Erev Shabbos in Yerushalayim, and now I'm sitting in the Heights, surrounded by all the people and all the smells and everything, and as you alluded to in your podcast with DK, right? Like I'm looking around and I'm just smells. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I got back up to the apartment and I sat down on the couch and I just started crying. And Yali's like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't want to be here. Because obviously like it was hard. I was really come back to America for my wife because she had to finish.
She was the only reason.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a sacrifice for sure. And like, I love my wife so much and not Baruch Hashem it worked out, but it was just like, I knew it even more. It was just like, why am I here? Like I don't belong. And it's hard to describe. And obviously everyone has their own connection to their soul and everything like that. Like I feel it here. I feel something here. It's impossible to describe to anybody until you're here and you feel that connection, and that's when I knew I was missing it. So we did that to Kufa, we came right back to Israel, and then we stayed, and then we're like, okay, like how are we gonna end up in Neve Shamir? And you want me to talk about that?
Why were you trying to get to Neve? How did Neve Shamir even enter your? Well, let's put it like this. I think there's a lot of people in your position. I think there's a lot of young guys in yeshiva, and I know this because when I was teaching in yeshiva, a lot of guys would come up to me. To me, by the way, on the aside, I know this might be a controversial thing to say, but I think it's just a very delusional thing when guys in Shana Bet are like, I really want to be in Israel. I'm going to go back to YU. I'm going to get married, and then we're going to move to Israel. Let me just tell you something. That does happen. But why would you drag a girl across the world when she also is going to be moving away from her family? Why would both of you not have any family here? And what makes you so confident that you're going to be able to build all of that security and consistency and, whole life around her, that she's going to be able to do this with you when none of you are familiar with what's going on here? Often I'll tell guys, if you want to be here, start building your life here. Start creating your connections, your roots, your networks, everything that's going on here now. But I see a lot of guys your age, especially, when you were in Shana Gimel, whatever, who look at Israel and they say, I'd love to be here. I look up to my rabbi so much. I love the communities, whatever, but there's no clear path that if I stay, I understand what I'm going to do, what it's going to look like. This was, by the way, the whole impetus of why we started creating T2R to begin with.
And we said this to Rabbi Fass, the head of Nefesh, and I went off in that meeting, if you remember. I was like, there's 3 paths you could do. You do Army, Shirul Lumi, or you stay in Kola. I was like, that's it. I was like, you need to broaden the path.
And there's nothing, and none of those paths are clear for Americans. At the end of the day, one of the things I think that has given YU the most success that it has, because it attracts a broad range of guys that are not necessarily all YU guys, but it gets them all because it's a path. This is clearly what you do to get to the next step. You have a good Jewish network. You probably get set up at a job, and you'll be able to, you know what I mean? It's clear. I know what I do. I get there, and I understand what it's going to look like. I know where I'm going to go from there. And I just don't think that there's a clear path for that. So how did you, or what did you see, I guess, in terms of like, okay, what's it going to look like? How are you going to build it? I know the figure it out is obviously the impetus, and that's why anybody who's really making Aliyah, there's a very internal experience, and it's an individual choice that you make, because you're going to put yourself, it's not like you're alone, but it's not that there's this clear, 1, 2, 3,
1,000%.
Here's the job, and here's the security, and here's what you do. So what did you see, and how does Neve Shamir?
It's good. Are you saying Dafka, like, did I see a specific person that I was like, that's...
I don't know. I'm asking you because you're sensitive to that lack, and you probably before, like you said, that was your plan, right? Your plan before you went to yeshiva was boom, 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 why you, da-da-da-da-da.
Right, no, it's interesting. Like, I think for myself, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, like, I see this path, I'm going to want to try to follow this path. It was more just like, I kind of want to do, like, just do me, like living in Israel. And like, I think a lot of what got me like so enticed to be here, especially in like the Ramat Beit Shemesh community, is like, I was so like inspired by like the lifestyle that like you could learn in the morning and then you could like work in the afternoon. And I saw so many people that were older than me, and like, I'm a person that like gravitates to people that are older than me. And like, that's, most of my friends are like a few years older than me. And like, that's just like, what
especially now.
exactly, especially and we'll talk about that in a second. But like it's just like that's what I've gravitated to. So for me, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, like I know someone that did the army, I know someone that did Shevet Lumian, like, oh, like I could follow a similar path, or I could go to college and do that here in Israel. It was more just like, I'm gonna stay in Israel, be a madrich, and then like I'll figure. Honestly, I'll tell you this now that I think about it, I don't think I was like so thought out about like, this is what will happen here, this is what will happen here. It was just like, I'm staying, I'm gonna figure it out. And I remember you always used to say like, what if you come to Israel? And people say like, what if it doesn't work out? Like you made an epic video about that one time. But then what if you went to America and it didn't work out? Like it's the same concept. I think you said it great. It was just like I don't think there was like a specific person or path. It was just like, I'm gonna learn in the morning. And that's why I started off as a madrich.
I'm committing to Israel.
And I'm going to commit to Israel. I'm going to learn in the morning. I'm going to pursue what I want to pursue in the afternoon. And that's it. I'm just going to geographically be here. And then that was it for me, you know?
So why Neve Shamir? How did Neve Shamir? Because I'm assuming when you were spending Shabbos in Ramat Beit Shemesh, it wasn't Neve Shamir.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that this existed. I didn't even know what this was. And the funny thing is that there's a guy named Naftali Pudel, if you know him, he was madrichim with me in Traga. I never came to Neve Shamir before I signed on an apartment here. I honestly, if you ask, like,
Never once?
I never came to here. I never came. I knew Ramat Beit Shemesh, whatever, but like, I hear the word Neve Shamir. I'm like, what is Neve Shamir? I'm like, is this a yeshuv next to Beit Shemesh? Like you say, Ramat Beit Shemesh Hey. That's for to clear the air, right? Yeah. Call it whatever you want, right? Now I love the name Neve Shamir, whatever. Just distinguishes us. But for me, I never actually saw the community in person before. I saw 1 or 2 videos of Naftali Pudel's apartment, and I was like, this is so much nicer than the Gris apartment, and the rent was very affordable at the time. So we literally, like, if you would have asked me back then if I could stay in Gris for the next 5 years, I would have said yes, because it was comfortable for me and it was easy. And I was avoiding the inevitable of like, you're gonna have to move to a real community. And like, Gris is a great place. It's a great landing spot for a lot of people, but I don't believe that's
not integration.
Exactly. It's not, you're not living in Israel. You're not dealing with your Israeli neighbors. You're not dealing with Arnona. You're not dealing with all the things that you have to deal with in a regular society of living in Israel.
It literally has a fence around it.
Literally.
Only
right.
Americans allowed in.
Basically, whatever. So it's
and the high school.
and the high school and Traga and everything else. But for me with Neve Shamir, I knew Naftali Pudel. They said great things about the community. I was like, okay, what's that? What could happen if I sign for a year on an apartment? We test it out.
Isn't he not here?
Oh, he is.
He's still here?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was in Beit Meir.
No, that's his sister.
Ah.
But it was like, okay, let's try this out for a year. And we came here. I remember pulling up to the apartment. My wife did it was on during Jump Shot. She was going back and forth, getting the contract and this and that, whatever. And it was a very stressful process. That's also part of the integration thing. I was, oh my gosh, dealing with Israeli lawyers, not easy. But all these things were growing pains. And then literally, like, we come here to the community. And I remember just like meeting everybody for the first time and seeing it. And the growth in this community, oh my gosh, in the past 2 years since I've been here is crazy.
It's unbelievable.
And I love this place now. It's just like, it's like there's an actual sense of like a community here, and there's obviously so many people here. And if you want to learn more about the community, check BK's podcast with Zach. That was awesome. But like I quickly got comfortable here, and I found a chevra of people and some few people my age. Most of my friends, honestly, I'll tell you that like I'm pretty close with are like late 20s. Honestly, I'm 24 for those that don't know. Turn 25 in a month. But like, as I said before, like I gravitate towards older people. Most of my friends of my age are finishing college right now, or they're learning in oleh still for the next few years, and then they got to start working. I've been working since I was 20. So for me, I always felt a step ahead, you know, in terms of like that aspect of life. So for me, it was more natural to grab, like, nobody here in the community knows that I'm 24. Everyone thinks I'm in my late 20s. Just the same as everybody else. Nobody gets it, you know? So for me, that was, I like Neve Shamir. I love it.
Do you think that this is a good spot for a lot of guys your age who are now trying to make this choice?
It's a good question. Depends on who you are and what you're looking for. Like if you, like...
No, let's say I'm saying, you know, similar to your crew or whatever, people who are...
yeah.
There's a lot of guys now. Happens to be one of the biggest vacuums I see is the Ramat School world, because they'll do that for 5 years, 10 years, and there's really no path for them. And so whatever, you'll obviously have your yechidim, you know, your individuals who are going to find a place here and there and whatever, and just make it work, try to integrate into Haredi, whatever. But do you think that this could be a place for some of them, and also just other guys your age who are now, let's say, getting married in America, finishing YU, doing the whole thing they said, and now looking...
It's so funny. I literally had a conversation with someone a few days ago, one of my good friends from Yeshiva, and he said to me, he's like, he's in America, but he said, like, they just had a baby, Baruch Hashem. He said, I get 5 months of paternity leave. He said, what I'm going to do, God willing, in March, I'm going to be coming to Israel. Hopefully, we're going to come for 3 months to, like, see what it's like to live there. And I said to him right away, I was like,
wildest thing.
So I said to him, I was like, dude, just a piece of advice. I was like, come to an actual community versus come to a landing spot. Like, and he said he'll probably end up in Ramat just because they know where people live right now. But I'm saying, like, Ramat is a great place for some people. Do I think that, like, is a place that, like, is more like long term? I don't think a lot of people are thinking long term. I think people come for a few years and they leave and they go, whatever.
Also, it doesn't make any sense. There's not enough room for growth. It's way too expensive for people who are actually entering the job market and their first. Something about it is like it's very much a bubble.
Yeah, so it's like if you want a landing spot where, like, you know a lot of people there, I don't even know what it's like to live there. Great, go, people enjoy it. But, like, I vision Neve Shamir as like real life in Israel. So if somebody is in a point, you ask the question of, like, is this a place for somebody that's like my age, think about staying? Like, if you want to feel like you're settling in Israel in a place where, like, the people around you, you know they're not really leaving. You know, like, happens to be there's probably about 10 families here that are in, like, the young 30s that are all leaving this summer across Beit Shemesh to Eucalyptus, which is a big project a lot of people bought and whatever, but, like...
No, but they're not leaving Israel.
No,
they're not,
right.
And they're committed. Even that's a big difference because you still have a relationship with them if you have a 10-minute drive from them.
1,000%. And
we have a relationship. It's a 40-minute drive. Like, you know, it's not...
And we keep in touch, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, like, and I think also another thing for what I've realized about this community that's so special is that when you move to Israel, and I'm sure people have heard this before, like, your friends become your family. Like, all my family's in America. I have a sister-in-law in Yerushalayim, I have a brother there. Right, so, like, and my wife's family. So it's just like for us, is like...
For now, by the way, because they're going to be right over there.
Shout out Benny, love you, brother. But, like, when you have a baby, they take care of a meal train. When you need help with something, they need to drop your kid off a gun, they'll do this. They'll help you out. Like, people are just here to help you, and they're like one big community. Like, everybody knows each other in a certain capacity, and, like, obviously there's different chevras and stuff like that, but we all get along. We all play ball, we're really chilling with each other, all these things. But, like,
do you use all the WhatsApp chats do you use all the WhatsApp chat as like a function or a resource for when you need to learn something about the Israeli system, or when you need to find something, or when you asking for something in the area?
I needed ice packs, instant ice packs for my basketball program last week. I wrote in the chat with 500 Anglos here. Within 2 seconds, I had people who were sending me all these things. I needed contacts last week. I wrote in the chat. Everybody's here to help you. If you need anything, you write in chat. Who's a good referral for this? And it's just like, what I'm trying to say about Neve Shamir in short is that if you want to find a place where you have an actual community, where you have a rabbi of a shul, 2 different rabbis of different shuls, different chavras, different strokes for different folks. There's a lot of diversity here. And yes, there's no Makolas here. But you're right near Aleph. Aleph has everything, and there's so much infrastructure, and it's just like, you get to mooch off that in a beautiful way. And there's so much happening here.
And it's also like there won't be. There will be infrastructure here. That is the plan. It's not actually, even though it's, you know, it's workable now, it's not like there's no plan to actually put up a makola, put up real supermarkets and actual, you know,
right there by Wilson. Area. There's a whole thing of shops we're going to put right up there by Wilson.
When do they say that's coming? In the next 25 years?
Probably the next 2 years, something. But
Israeli years. They're like dog years.
Israeli. Say whatever. But no, it's really it. Like, if somebody's thinking about it, like, do I want to move to Israel? And it's there's a lot of cheshbonos and everybody has their own answer. So it's like so hard to say, like, there's Neve Shamir Refuge. Come and check it out. There's literally people every other Shabbos that are here checking out the community.
There's something else that I feel like needs to be said in general. 2 guys your age who are, most of them at the end of the day your age, are just getting married, or in that, like, about to get married, you know what I mean? Or just whatever, right in that stage, is that the second you have 1 kid, you are pretty much no different than people who are up to 8 to 10 years older than you, because it really collapses. More than age creates differences between people, phases in your life are what create groups and what create differences between people. Even if you had somebody who got married very young and then had kids out of the house by the time he's 40, he's not going to feel like a lot of the other 40-year-olds. He'll feel more comfortable with the 45 and 50-year-olds or whatever, you know, who's closer to that age group, just because of stage in life. That's often what determines it more. So a lot of times I feel like this really could be because of that infrastructure, because it has, you know, everybody working to help you make it work here. The second you have 1 kid, all of a sudden now you're in the parsha with everybody else who's looking for a gun, who's trying to figure that out. There's immense resources, and there's a lot of, you know, ability. The years collapse. I feel like not only do people don't see a difference between you, but you also don't see a difference, right?
No, it's funny you say that about 8 kids, because, like, if somebody has 8 kids, high chance their oldest might be 12, but their youngest might be 2. I have basically a 2-year-old also, so it's like you're dealing with the same stuff, you know?
Yeah, the second you have 1 kid together, you already have it now, you're in the same boat as them. You both are shopping for diapers. You're both, you know, finding a gun. You're both finding whatever. You're making, on some level, they're also making other decisions. but they're also making the same decisions that you're making at the same time. I feel like a lot of people are nervous. They want to go where there's people their age. This is not. This is not. You're probably one of the youngest here.
Yeah,
not the youngest.
there's a pocket of like probably like 6 or 7 people that I'm thinking of that are like my age that live here, that are like call it my age, but like it doesn't matter. My friends are much broader than that, and the community feeling of here, like the age range of my shul is like pretty large, but like you still feel that sense of community, and you still have like, and also what's so interesting is like I was thinking about this before, like everyone could have their own definition of a community, but you're not like, you could be in a place where like, oh, you make small talk with a lot of people, but like if you have a core group of like 6 or 7 friends where all the wives decide to hang out in the afternoon this day and they try to do this and they do this and this and they have each other over for meals, like what else do you need in a certain way to like feel that sense of community? If you have real relationships with people versus like
play dates.
Oh, hey, and also what's so interesting is like in America, and I was talking about this with somebody recently, like I have a few friends that live in this community that are my age that marry girls from Aleph. And I've seen it, like they're not as involved in the community because what do? Their default, Friday night, they're going back to their in-laws, or Shabbos day, they're going back to, they spend the whole day there. Versus us, we don't have family here. So if we don't have you over for a meal, you're probably just knocking on my door in the afternoon and our kids are just hanging out together, you know? Like it's that, and that's a beautiful thing about like feeling the community here of like, if you don't have family, you feel it even more because you don't have anywhere else to go, you know? So it's just like that, your friends become your family, basically. That's what I'm trying to say.
Do you feel like there's anything, or I'm assuming there's a lot of people here who are a little, who want a house, who want more space, who want something bigger. And it's hard. That's definitely something that's always hard. And that's not like, oh no, Israel really has the answer. You will have less space here. And that's a guarantee, almost 100%. Something that it's funny because everybody who's on this side of the equation really resonates with this. And everybody who's still in America, it's so hard to hear, which is that it's true you'll have less here, but you also need less here. And we don't realize often how much our needs are really based off of the people around us and the community that we live in, you know, what's going on around us. And it's not easy. Obviously, you'd rather have a house. Everybody would rather have a huge backyard where all their kids could be playing football every day. But I feel like a lot of times what happens here is that the public spaces, the beautiful parks and the infrastructure are utilized a lot more. They spend a lot more time out of their house, and ends up also probably reinforcing a lot of those communal bonds that create a very tight-knit community.
1,000%. Also, it's everybody has their own cheshbonos. Like I'm not here to speak on anybody. And if somebody says I want to stay in America because I can have a house and I can live more of a financially free life and I can make all the money I want, that's up to you, man. Like for me, my perspective is like, and I'm not one to like recruit people to this community because like if you want to be here, you're gonna come and you're gonna try it out. Versus like if at the end of the day, I firmly believe this, that like we live our life in the best way possible, thinking what does the man upstairs want from me? If I believe that Hashem wants me to be here, I'm gonna be here. And if I believe that I get up to Shemaim at the end of my life and I say I chose not to move to Israel because I want to live in a bigger house and I want to have a nicer car and I want to have all this money, that's fine. That's a conversation for you and him to have. I don't get in the way of that. You know what I'm saying? So like for somebody that always tells me like, I want to live in a house with, bro, you do you. Like we just gotta, like in my opinion, it's just like I'll respect whatever like everybody wants to do for themselves because everybody has their own cheshbonos. But like at the end of the day, like my mindset on it and my thought is like, okay, like if you want to be here and you believe that this is what God wants of you, then do it. And obviously there's sacrifices with everything that you do in life. Everything, a marriage and this, that, with business. But like that's what I'm trying to say is like if somebody's like on the verge of like, do I want to stay in America because of a house or Israel? It's just like, is this what God wants from you? That's for you to decide. You know?
I feel like a lot of those things is that a lot of the decisions we make in general are based off of comfort. It's funny, every time we say like no matter what shul you connect to or are a part of, the place you daven shachris is the place that's closest to the gam that you need to drop off your kid. It's 100% logistic. 89% of our choices are logistically engineered, decisions that we make. And often there's definitely real reasons to be in America that you should. Either you have an extremely meaningful, job and you're doing, God's work and you're doing, kiruv or whatever. There's even basic things, that are very meaningful and you need to do there. Family, there's a lot of reasons to be there. But a lot of time I find that the reasons like, that you're talking about are a bigger house or more money, and those are comforts. And the question is how much of the meaningful decisions in your life do you want to base off of comfort? And you can't come with no comfort. You need comfort in your life. if you don't have any comfort, the only thing your mind the entire time is thinking about creating some comfort, right? We need a place, a consistency, something that's working for us. But the question is how much? What's the what's the percentage? What's the percentage of your choice that are going to be dominated by comfort? And do you feel a great lack here in an apartment when your friends at home are probably starting to, when they're building their life around the house lifestyle and a nice big yard and.
It's interesting. What's interesting about my situation is that I never lived in America and I never lived that lifestyle. So it's like I'm not missing it. So I feel like obviously it's harder when you have it and then you go away from it, right? So like for me, this is all I know. All I know is the Israeli medical system. I don't know what it's like to do things in America. So for me, this is all I know and I love it, But if I had to come from America where it's so much more convenient, like I'm going to America for bar mitzvah next week and like I'm clicking Amazon left and right to buy whatever things I want to go there, and they still deliver here. But there's something so good. I was thinking about it, but then I look back at my credit card, and I'm like, wow, like if I did not have that trip, I probably would not have spent all the money. Do I need those things? Yes, but like I'm saying, like,
but do you need all of those things?
I mean, my shoes are ripping, whatever.
No, but I'm saying there's definitely things where you're like, well, now that I'm on Amazon and this is on sale, whatever. Obviously, Amazon.
I got you. But I'm saying like that feeling of like my friends being in houses happens to be most of my friends that are my age, if not all of them. They're not at that stage yet. They're
not
yet enough money.
In the house for sure.
So most of them are in apartments, but at the same time, it's just like a lot of people that I talk to in America, and I'm not saying big adult. This is with everybody. There's a lot of people that are not as happy with like their job or how it's panning out, and like they're working, but they're living to work in a certain way. And I think that's another thing that's very important. I realize about this community is like the conversations that I have with the guys here are like work is like secondary in a certain way. Like I'm not. Obviously, you make up parnasa. We all do that. We all try to work to support our family, and we do that as best as we can. But it's not like my job is to be the best parent I can, to be there for my children, and obviously make the best parnasa I possibly can at the same time. But it's not like I'm out of the house at 6 and I'm back at 11 p.m. I have some friends that are like doing those types of crazy jobs where like it's working. And if that's what they want to do, that's totally fine. That's the relationship they have with their wife, and that's whatever. But I'm saying it's just, there's a more like go with the flow attitude and mindset here, and it's just like. You might be making less, okay, but like that's maybe you could try to get an American job, figure out what you want if you want more money. But I'm saying it's that I digress a little bit from your question, but it's more just like I don't feel that lack of like I wish I had that in America,
It's funny. I do find that a lot of times I was talking about this a little bit with BK also. A lot of times people want to map all the communities and areas in Israel to what they're familiar with in America. And at the end of the day, though, even of the very American areas of Israel are the Americans who picked up their whole life from America and chose to move to Israel. Already, it's a qualitatively different mode of being. It's a different, mode of decision making. And it's for sure people who are more oriented toward, that's how, those are the conversations that they're going to fill up their time because that's the context that they actively put in their whole life. They weren't born here. This isn't what they were familiar with. They chose all their familiarity and their comforts and their bigger house and their, things that were going to be, I think honestly, just to go back to that, BK is a perfect example because he has a well-respected family and a well-respected community and had a very clear path that he could have done and it would have been pashut and easy and throw all that out the window just for a chance at, what's happening over here. I find it, it's funny because there's so many people here that it's hard to feel like, I'm a pioneer, right? Because like, you're such a pioneer. You move in, there's like hundreds of other people who have done this before you and it's been doing it before you. But at the end of the day, I think we're still in the stage. You know what I mean? We're still on some level bridging the gap. That's what I'm trying to do also even with this podcast and that's what we were trying to do with our T2R. And that's what I feel like is so important is not just bridging the gap because these are the people I'm familiar with. I think that there's something so crucial that's present in the American Jewish system in terms of how they build communities and what they bring to the table that is missing here. That we need leaders from those communities to come here and help create a greater and a broader vision for what Jews going forward can have. I really think that in 20 years, there's a potential for them to just rewire the entire service, customer service I don't know why we can't do that. We understand customer service. Like the customer service, every time I go back to America and I deal with customer service, I'm like, I feel like you're enjoying this a little bit, and I'm nervous. That makes me nervous. What do you know that I don't know? I walked in, by the way, one time to a UPS, and with like a letter or something that a package to drop off. I literally walk in and I hand it to him. He like puts it in the thing. He's like, okay. I'm like, what do you mean, okay? Who do I need to fight? Who do I need to fight for the basic thing that you claim to do to get done? Who do I need to fight to make sure that happens? He's like, no, you're good. I'm like, this is a great country. They do great things here.
It's
You know what I
easy.
mean?
It's so much easier. In
They
America
really
than
no,
somewhere.
but for that they really have it down. They really have it down. It's also, the Amazon, the amount of money industry that they invest into comfort is mind-blowing. Especially when they started doing same-day delivery for Amazon. That's like, all right, it's too much. That's
Crazy,
too much. That's
crazy.
too much. All right, we need to slow down now. Let's start putting the attention elsewhere. It's unbelievable. Also, I order something here to Israel. I have like a 3-week, time frame of when I expect to do it and my expectations and whatever. I don't even think about it again. Often I'll order something
I
online.
forget about it. Yep.
Forget about it.
Like,
Then it's
oh,
like,
okay.
Yeah, like a gift. You know what I mean? When I'm in America and I order something, I'm like,
No.
how come it's not here?
Yep.
How come it's not here?
You're like
And again,
tracking.
it's one of those things that, like, would I rather things come quicker? Sure, but it's not stopping anything in my life. We're moving just fine, and I don't even think about it ever.
All these things, by the way, that you're saying are so true, and like obviously, like we could acknowledge this. Us coming from America, if we lived our life in America, it would be significantly easier. For me, I struggle with picking up Hebrew. It's very, very challenging.
Struggle
right?
with what?
Struggle with picking up Hebrew, right? So like, obviously, when I have to go to certain places, thank God my wife is always here. Shout out to Aliyah again.
She's pretty good.
For helping me. She takes care of me, but like, it's easier. It's more comfortable. But at the same time, everyone has to ask that question for themselves. When I get upstairs, whenever my time is up, what am I going to say to the man upstairs? Does he want me in America? If you believe the answer is yes, stay in America, do your job, do your thing. If you believe that he's going to have questions to you, why you didn't come to Israel, why didn't you live in Israel, that's for you to answer for yourself. And like, that's what I firmly believe about this whole thing. It's just like, what does Hashem want from me in my life? And if I believe that he wants me here, start being proactive to come here. That's it.
I think this place is also, like, the reason that I'm doing a few different podcasts. This is now my third one. And we didn't even talk about KTY, which is the shul that Joe Klein and BK and you are all a part of. But the reason that I'm putting a lot of attention here is because there's a lot of Aliyah here. But more than that, there's a reason that there's a lot of Aliyah here. It is ideal for that because exactly what you said. It's not exactly, listen, you can come here, you hear a lot of English. You really do. And it's a very soft landing. But I feel, and I'm also hopeful, that a lot of the people that come here, who are not necessarily like a perfect fit for this area, but it doesn't matter. They're going to find a chevra and they're going to create different communities. It's a place where everyone can come. A lot of people will stay and build a very strong base here. And it's going to be great. There's a lot of plants here. It's already very pretty. And the buildings are high quality. But obviously it's not for everybody. But it's for a very broad range of people to come for the first decision. I speak to a lot of clients and a lot of people in America who are like, okay, like I'm thinking about Aliyah, blah, blah, blah. They're thinking about it. Where's the place that I'm going to spend for the next 30 years? I don't think that that's a healthy way to go about it because I could present the community to you that has everything on paper. It will be the best fit for you. It's going to be unbelievable. And at the end of the day, you could spend a year or two here and find out that it's just not working out. That's always a possibility. You're not going to know your 30-year choice until you're here on the ground, seeing what's going on and experiencing it and making that choice for yourself. I feel like the question really is, where can I land? Where can I spend the first few years? Do I have the potential to spend 20 years here? That's a good thing to keep in mind. You don't want to spend a place that you know you're going to have to leave. But the first choice is just, how can I get over the ocean? Where can I go to get over the ocean? Where's a great place that I can start making decisions from? And I think Ramat Beit Shemesh Hey really answers that question in a beautiful way. And I think that what's been consistent from all of the interviews of the people we're doing is how much people are focused on helping out everyone else who's getting here.
It's crazy.
Right?
It's crazy. People just want to help.
They really do.
Literally, you move to the community People find out who's new. You're coming for a meal. You're coming for this. There's a family here in this community who was like struggling with like infertility, and they obviously that's a whole process it's hard to deal with. But like the community made a meal train. They did not have to cook meals. If I think I saw the meal train correctly, they didn't have to cook meals for like 4 months. Like
For infertility?
like the IVF
Because
stuff.
it's
It's been years.
very
It's been
intensive.
years. It's been years since they haven't
Is
had
it
any
like a
children.
Tehillim group too, or?
It's Tehillim group, Baruch Hashem, Bezrat Hashem, the family should have a
Amen,
baby
amen.
Carl, but it's been almost, I think, 10 years since they haven't had a child. In 10 years, they've been married, but like the community is here for them. They invite them over for meals. They have a meal, like 4 months. That means, you know how many families came together? They put a message in the Anglo group chat with over 500 plus people. Bingo. Within 2-3 days, they knew, okay, they were taken care of this night of the week. One night of the week, I dropped off food for them. This family hit, like, it's just, there's a real sense of community in that regard. And it's.
I feel like also one of the main factors of community are that people are not just passively, like if they see something in the chat, they'll pop something in. You know what I mean? Like they'll help out if it's convenient, if it comes their way. But I feel like, and this is again from the Shabbos even that I spent here, that people are actively looking. Like if you sit down, they will come up to you and start the conversation. Hey, what are you doing? How are you here? What's going on? And they'll try to figure it out. And if then they find out that there's a need or there's something, you know what I mean? Then they're active. It's a proactive community, which I think is potentially one of the best midos when it comes to, you know, community building.
1,000%. You're right. It's when you come for Shabbos and somebody meets you for the first time and they everyone knows in shul who's checking out the community at Shabbos. It's like you see the face, you never seen the guy before.
Sniff it out.
And then, but the crazy thing, and I love it so much about this community, is like I literally see, as soon as Alenu's over, last Kaddish, and everyone starts splitting up and everyone starts talking, the amount of people that go over to that new guy and introduce himself with a smile on their face and say, how's it going? It's just like people know what it's like to settle into a community, not necessarily knowing people, and it's a very accepting place. And I also I just want to say one misconception about Ramat Beit Shemesh before. You're saying a lot of people speak English and stuff like that. The single biggest misconception, in my opinion, about Ramat Beit Shemesh, from before I came to what I've been here for 2 years, everybody thinks everyone speaks English. Oh my God, it is so wrong. The amount of people, the majority of the people in my building don't speak English. The amount of times I go to a store on a daily basis where the guy behind the counter does not speak English at the Kupa Cholim, it's just like everyone thinks everyone speaks English at Ramat Beit Shemesh. It's so not true. That I just had to put out there because it.
No, I think that's important because I definitely am under that impression. I go to the mall, I hear a lot of English.
Yeah.
But the you know, there is definitely, I know some people here also who are Israeli. There's a nice mix, and I think again a lot of that is so funny how many decisions we make that are purely logistic. I think one of the biggest reasons also that Neve Shamir grew so rapidly is because of the logistic opportunity that was presented to them in terms of all of the buildings here and how much better priced they were than a lot of the other areas, and people just hopped on it, and it ended up creating a much more diverse group of people than probably some of the other Ramat Beit Shemeshes that have been built up, and especially over time.
1,000%.
God willing, if anybody wants to speak with Avi,
Hit me up. Be happy to answer questions.
you can find him at the Israel Gap Year Association.
Yeah, I'll put my number. You reach out to Zach, you get my number. I talk to people all the time.
We'll put a link to his page in the show notes.
I'm very big into voice notes. So if you want the real, some people text me like, oh, tell me about Neve Shamir. I'll be like, you sure you want me to tell you about Neve Shamir? Do you like voice notes? I'll be like, sure. I'll send like an 8 to 10 minute voice note as I'm driving, just like giving them a rundown. I'm like, listen, if you want long voice notes, hit me up.
People actually also always get mad at me. I always call.
Yeah.
I hate texting.
I hear
There's
you.
no context.
I hear
You just
you.
pop in words.
I hear
I'm gonna sit down and type stuff. I'll send a voice note, call. That's
There
the
you
way to
go.
do it.
Pleasure, man. You're mamish.
You're a pleasure. You're doing amazing
This
things.
is good. Yeah.
No, I also think it's very impressive. You come here again without all of that context, without whatever, and also picking up like a basketball chug and like creating your camp there and like finding a balance to make it all work without drowning, you know, without doing whatever, is you're leading the way. I think a lot of people say like, okay, like.
Trying my best.
No, I'm saying Avi's doing it. Avi might have, you know, things that other people don't, but there's a lot of people in this community that are not extreme self-starters,
Right.
and are making it work here. I think that there's really unbelievable things happening, and we are just witnessing the beginning. It's crazy.
Shiach coming, baby.
Amen, brother.
That's a wrap.
Amen.
I hope it was recording, by the way. Watch how it wasn't recording. Is it
Seriously,
recording?
that's recording.